On into it and then...
Hello! Welcome to the first ever recap video podcast thing. I'm Caitlin, as you guys know, and this is my lovely neighbor, wonderful friend, person, human being, Taylor.
You could just call me Taylor.
Good. Okay, so we're at a good start. So I posted this as a poll on Instagram as I was watching the Love Is Blind finale, and there's a bunch of people that messaged me and they're like, yes, please talk about these characters. And I was already very decided on it because I was screaming at my TV as I was watching it. So off the bat, why do you think Love Is Blind is so popular?
I think it's... Well... So you've already stumped me.
I know, I love garbage TV. I love TV like this because I can't watch, high drama TV just because my, work is very heavy. And so I just love watching stuff like this. But I don't know what it is about this show because I don't watch, The Bachelor or anything else. But this one's just, hit hard. Both seasons. Just...
Mm-hmm. I think it's the garbage television aspect is what probably drew people in, but I think it is very different than other garbage TV. It's something about it is very different from The Bachelor. I feel like you almost see the inside of their lives a little bit more than you do in regular TV, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I think I've only watched a couple episodes of The Bachelor, but they don't ever go to their lives.
Not really.
Home.
They do home visits, kind of.
Yeah,
but
it's mostly in the space where all of it happens until whoever it is decides the final person.
And I do feel with Love Is Blind, it almost gets a little bit messier. And one thing that it kind of sucks, but it's also kind of cool because these people are having real relationships, and some of it's off screen. So with Danielle and Nick, I felt a lot of the conversations were post argument where we didn't get to see the argument. But we were at least, drawn into that aspect of the relationship where it's them, dealing with that real stuff and, trying to make it work.
Yeah, and it's so hard in shows like this because, you don't know how much is just the editing and what they're choosing to show or, if this is actually their interactions every time. For me, I felt very attacked because I've had a relationship very much like this.
You were attacked. You were screaming.
I know. Yeah, I will be very triggered during this discussion. But would you ever do something like this?
You know what? I think I would.
I was thinking about it today. I'm why did people go into it genuinely? Because it's wild.
I feel I'm just the kind of person that would do anything. I would have loved to be on The Bachelor, but, first of all, I have, the most boring life. No one would ever pick me. And two, with, the energy of, of creating all that content to, send to the producers, exhausting. But if someone just came up to me on the street...
And we're here, be on this show.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would enjoy it. I think, the beginning would be fun, and then... But I don't know, when you see these people, their, relationships playing out, I don't know how enjoyable it actually is when you're in it.
Yeah, so I was reading, I have, kind of the recap of the, I don't know, relationships in general, I guess, up on my phone, and, so many of them said in interviews afterwards that they were yeah, it's just a pressure cooker, which, of course it is, so, I don't know, I just feel it'd be so hard to, suss out if their relationship is actually legit. But anyways, I want us to get into specific characters. Do you have a favorite or a least favorite character? Because I want to partially I think I'm gonna talk about it from my therapist lens and what I would see if this person presented as a client, but then I'm also gonna talk shit from my lens as a viewer and just an enjoyer of garbage TV. But do you have a favorite or least favorite?
Yes, I think my favorite is Natalie. I just, from the moment that we met her, I just really loved her energy. I thought she was super fun. Like, I love her kind of sense of humor, and just, you know, like, I think all of the women on this season, and even last season, like, they were super badasses in their career.
Yeah. That's true.
Which is super cool. But I don't know, something about Natalie just really stuck with me. Shane was my least favorite the whole time up until the reunion. And then ever since the reunion, I think that Shake, like, really, like...
Someone messaged me, they're like, you need to spend a full 20 minutes just on Shake, because I think I saved him till the end, because, something happened there.
Like, I spent the whole time trying to give him, like, the benefit of the doubt, and, like I've never we'll get more into it when we talk about him, but do you have a favorite?
My favorite, I think, is Deepti. Like, she was really fun the whole time. Like, even when it seemed like Shake was just kind of pulling back, she was like, yeah, fuck yeah, like, let's go into this cave and let's, you know, do whatever. Like, she was just a very, I think she had, like, really good energy the whole way. It's hard because there's a similarity in one of the characters from someone in my life. So it's hard. But, you know, we prevail. So let's talk about our first one. Oh, look at that. Who is it? It's Shane. Oh, Shane. So this is going to be the hardest one for, like, me to distinguish, because I just want to see it as, like, the viewer and the person that was, like, screaming and, like,
not be pulled into your own.
Gobsmacked at the TV. So you tell me why you didn't like Shane throughout it. As like an individual, and also in his interactions with the women.
I think that he is, I think some people more than others, but I think he, like, you see Shane and he reminds you of your toxic ex who gaslit you, who, like, made you feel like shit, who, like, turned everything around to be your fault, who was manipulative, who, like, had no control over, like, motor functions at, like, the slightest emotional inconvenience.
Yeah.
Like, so unsettling from the beginning. Like, and kind of a scary person. Like, at the end of that, like, when you look back and you think about how he acted and, like, the things that Natalie said, like, a scary person. Like, I would not want anyone that I love to be alone in a room with him. I know that's a big thing to say, but don't
you feel
trust
it.
him.
Yeah, like, so it's I'll talk about how I see it as a therapist first. And I'm really excited to see this, because, like, I never just, like, go around and analyze people, and even in situations where, like, I see a lot of stuff, you know, like, if I'm meeting someone's, like, friends or family for the first time, and I'm like, okay, it's not like I'm saying it, but, so, like, he is just the epitome of, like, what we call, like, anxious avoidant attachment. So it's the one where, like, you want all the closeness, you want all the reassurance, you want all the touch and connection, proximity, and you know, constant everything. And then as soon as something goes wrong, you're out. Like, you suddenly hate the person, you imagine everything that is wrong with them, you put the blame back on them, like, it... Actually, you know what? He could be that, or just, like, the straight anxious, insecure attachment style. Because that is what I found really difficult to watch was, like, as soon as there was any evidence of conflict. So, like, when Natalie brought... No, it wasn't, she didn't even bring something forward. It was, like, the first altercation where Natalie came into the room, he thought it was Shayna, and he's like, oh, hey, baby, like, what are you wearing? And Natalie was like, she just said, you know? It was a hint, like, the slightest hint of a conflict, and he was like, what, you're mad? Clearly you don't care at all. And it was like, because with anxious attachment, like, everything becomes very intense very quickly. So there will be like the sign of a threat. You look for reassurance. If you don't get that immediate reassurance, you go into like the danger zone. I have a video on this that I'll link somewhere. I never know where it shows up. But like you'll go into the danger zone at that point. But he just seemed to go immediately into the danger zone with everything, like so defensive. And so I want to really hard, like I want to really imagine how I would support him as a therapist, and like there's got to be issues in his early relationships, like, and most likely with his parents, where like you don't have that fear and like need for constant reassurance without some big rupture in like an early relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that actually does make sense. And is that kind of why, I think Natalie's kind of, her way of flirting was to kind of like tease and that like that's why he couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
And he needed her to reassure him, and she wasn't able to give him that just because that's not her communication style.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why it like actually upset him so much. Is that why?
Yeah, so it was legitimate upset, and that's what's difficult when watching stuff like this is like, how can someone be so crazy out there and so reactive and whatever, but like for him, you like, he's distressed. He is really, really upset and hurt. It's just coming out in a super shitty way, because when, like, in that style of attachment, yeah, forget what I said in the beginning. He's just full anxious attachment, but like you start to engage in like protest behavior. So you quite literally throw a tantrum as an adult, and like this so often stems back to like early issues with abandonments. Like I can guarantee, and Shane, if you ever watch this video and want to let me know, I can probably guarantee that like either because his mom was there, probably his dad isn't really in his life. And I also imagine that his dad like drinks heavily based on how he drank.
And just how he spoke about his family. I do think his dad died.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess you're right. Like, he's not there.
No! Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that. That happened like
a year ago.
Yeah. Okay.
But
they're probably I mean, yeah, I guess not. But like but abandonment can be more than like just fully exiting someone's life, right? Mm-hmm. It can be just really not being there to support a child. So like even someone with, two parents that are still present in the home, like if one of the parents is super absent, like they're just really not involved at all, then that person can still develop those like significant attachment issues. As a viewer, I hated it.
Yeah.
Like, hated it. And just...
He just came... The way it came across, like, unless, like, without having that breakdown, I would have just thought he was, like, just a shit person. He, like, manipulates and throws tantrums.
It was the tantrum, like, on the ground. Like, when he was sitting on the ground, it was just like, I wrote your name on my notebook, Natalie. I was like, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Like, don't say yes. And then she did, and,
Just, like, discomfort seeing that.
So uncomfortable. Yeah. That's Shane. I feel like I could talk about him forever. Is there more that you want to say about Shane?
No, I just don't really like him.
Yeah. That's Shane, get it together. Figure it out. I think I paired them. So, Natalie. So, we talked a bit about her. And, like, yeah, I think that she seems quite well-rounded, right? So I don't want to like hold myself to this each time, but like in terms of that attachment style, she might be the one that like is a bit more avoidant. So like she'll take space and create distance when she needs to sort through stuff. She might be really like much more focused on her independence, because I know she talked about that a bit when she was saying that like Shane isn't a guy that she would usually go for. But she just seemed quite well-rounded and like in touch with what she wanted, and it also just seemed like she was kind of swept up by the intensity and like the love bombing that came from Shane, which you know, we know where that goes.
I feel like Love is Blind is just a breeding ground for love bombing.
Yeah.
As well. Like,
yeah, because how else could you get to the point where you see the person? If you can only see the person if you propose, you're not going to propose without bringing all that, like, intense love forward. But it just, yeah, I don't know.
And you know they're dating 14 other people at the same time, and if you pick that person, you want them to know, like Shayna being the exception, like Shayna. At least she didn't love bomb.
Yeah,
we'll give her that.
Oh my gosh, Shayna.
But yeah, Natalie, I found just she was super well rounded. I found she, like, really composed. I found her really secure.
Very composed for sure. Like, she had good, when there were those conflicts, like, she seemed to really be able to regulate herself within them and be empathetic, be respectful, but also, like, stand her ground in what she needed to say.
Mm-hmm. At the end, I think, like, her, I don't know if it would be communication style, but, like, I think her way of just almost, like, flirting and being with Shane was different than what he needed.
Yeah.
And I did think she tried to listen to him and, like, make that change, but, you know, you only get so much time with this person before you can't just change on a dime either.
Yeah, and if they, you know, like, so if they did fall into those two sides of the spectrum where, like, Shane is very anxious, insecure, like, in terms of attachment, and Natalie is more avoidant, like, it's literally called the anxious avoidant trap when those two people are together, because I don't know why my
Do you need a water?
No, I'm okay. It feels weird. But so the anxious person will sense something is off, and so they will seek further closeness. And then the avoidant person, so Natalie, because they really value their independence, they want to make sure that like, their needs and priorities are met. She might be like, okay, no, I need to, like, focus on me right now. And then that makes the anxious person want to pull even more. And so, like, that combination of people, it initially attracts because, I don't know, it just works out that way. But then it ultimately, like, intensifies what both of them are feeling, because she's feeling like, whoa, okay, I need to give so much reassurance to this person, which I'm not used to doing. And he's like, why isn't this person giving me the reassurance that I need? Like, it's oh my god, I'm a nightmare right now. I feel like I have a branch in my eye.
Do you want to blow on it?
Do I want you to blow on it?
Yeah, I saw it in a movie or something. I don't know.
Okay, I think we're good.
Okay, well, forget I asked.
That's
embarrassing.
That's a weird. Natalie's great. Like, Natalie, if I could give you a rating, you're 9 out of 10. Maybe even 10 out of 10. I don't know. Oh my god, I'm rubbing everything. Okay, we're doing good. We're having a good time.
Yeah, you look just emotional.
Oh, good. I'm really emotional right now. Cool. Any more to say on Natalie?
No, I guess...
Does Natalie remind you of me?
Yeah.
You get, when we hang out, you get the very, much more intense version of me, for whatever reason. Like, I'm probably more like her around people that I've known for longer. Like, I'm more quiet. I don't know, I feel like I need to make you laugh.
Yeah, I give that impression to people, like, impress me.
Yeah.
Entertain me, or
exactly.
I'm leaving. No, I do. You have good, I think you have Natalie vibes. I think you have deep vibes as well, just because I think you're, like, a really good time.
They have similarness, right?
Yeah.
Natalie just seems a little bit more reserved, but, like, you know, it's probably also why I ended up with a Shane, so it's a good time. Anyways, okay. Who's next? Kyle. Oh, little Kyle. I feel very bad for Kyle. Like, and I don't know what happened there.
I think Shayna just wanted to get engaged to someone.
Yeah, like, her decision in that was off. And I guess, so, like, where I got really stuck is that in the pods, like, she brought forward that piece about religion, and he explained it as, like, you know, my mom is, like, super religious as well, and he said, like, and you're just like my mom, and that's why I want, and I was like,
and he gave her his mom's ring.
I know, but it's like, that's such a huge, there's so much wrapped into religious beliefs that I feel like it's just a crazy choice to ignore that.
And I think in some cases, like, people do, like, me and my partner, Walter, upstairs, you've met him, we have different, like, religious beliefs, but, like, neither of our beliefs are, I'm not going to say strong enough, but they're not, like, I don't care what he believes in, and he doesn't care what I believe in.
Okay.
So it's...
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, I can't remember when she said it, but, like, she made the point that she didn't believe in evolution, and he... I mean, I'm an advocate of evolution, but, like, he, you know, made it very clear that he also believed in that, and, like, I don't... Yeah, I guess, like, I don't know, that combination can work, and, like, obviously it does, but when it's so extreme...
Yeah, and if you have a belief and you need your partner to also believe that, and she did make that clear.
Yeah.
But I guess if he, on his side, if he doesn't have that strong belief, and, like, he would be fine marrying someone with those religious beliefs, he probably maybe assumed that it would go both ways.
Yeah.
Even though she said it wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I struggle with it because I feel like so many times people say, like, oh, relationships are compromised, like, you have to compromise, blah, blah, blah. And you do. Not to the point where you should have to compromise your, like, inherent values and beliefs. That is not a compromise. That's just, you're going to end up being completely disingenuous in the relationship and then ultimately resent the person. Like, I've, like, in every single client that I've ever worked with who has, like, debated or wanted to end or ended a relationship, it ultimately came down to a difference in values and what they care about. So... yeah, I don't know. And then, like, you know, he saw her, and then she started to pull away, and it seemed like that was then just, like, he almost, like, turned into, like, a puppy dog, and he was like, oh, like, what can I give you? I feel so bad saying that, but, like...
I think he was confused. Like, yeah. She was definitely giving him, like, vibes in the pause, or he wouldn't have proposed.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And
so, like, someone's like, you talk, I don't know how long you're in the pause for. Is it 2 weeks or 1 week?
I think 2 weeks.
So, like,
it's definitely more than one.
You're getting that side of a person, and then you see her in person, and all of a sudden she throws this religion thing at him, and it's really important.
God, because they didn't, like, kiss. Right? No. Or they kissed for a second, and then she pulled away, and then she, like, wouldn't even hug him, and I was like...
Yeah, that was uncomfortable to watch.
But so, like, I don't know. I don't have a ton to say about Kyle because he wasn't really in it much. But,
no,
like,
he wasn't.
In the reunion, do you remember when he was like, my biggest regret is that I didn't go for deep tea? And I was like, whoa, Kyle.
We know that they have to be together now.
Oh, really?
Kyle and Deep Tea?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. He posted a sneaky TikTok with her.
Oh.
Why would he say that unless he was, like, either shooting a shot or...
No, I thought he was shooting a shot, but I was just like, that. It was so wild to me. Like, it seemed like it came out of nowhere.
It did, but then... And then they started, like, posting these, like, cryptid things. So I don't know if it's just, like, for marketing or...
Yeah, I know.
I don't want it to be, but let's be real, it probably is.
Yeah. Shayna.
I'm going to start off by saying the beginning I hated Shayna, and now for some reason I don't like her.
There's so many memes of her. Like, there's so many memes of her in the reunion when she's doing this.
I can't even squint the way she squints because she, like, somehow, like, lifts her.
Yeah, she's doing it. She did it in a much prettier way, but it was, like, it was so funny. Yeah, I mean, yeah. What bothered me the most about her was that it was so clear that she was giving a bunch of different reasons as to why she wasn't going to be with Kyle. Like, because she initially said, like, I'm not attracted to him. So, boom. Like, big reason. Like, anyone says that physical attraction isn't important, I guess that's the point of the show. It is important. Like, yeah, I don't know. But so she says that, and then she goes to the religion point, which probably was a huge factor, but then she's also, like, you know, in the pods even, she, you know, went back to Shane. Like, it wasn't just the religion piece, and it seemed like that's what she was trying to force it to be, and that infuriated me, because I was like, just be transparent.
Yeah.
Like, I had an issue with Shayna.
Yeah. I do, actually, now that you say that, I do kind of think that the show Love is Blind, all it has done so far is prove that love isn't blind.
Yeah.
Because in season 1, Jessica said she was not attracted to Mark.
Yeah.
They didn't work out. Shake said he wasn't attracted to Deep D. They
Yeah.
didn't work out. And it's really obvious that Shayna just wasn't attracted.
Yeah, and the couples that are together and have done well are all hot.
Yeah.
Like, and most of the most of the people that they've got for both seasons are, like, you know, from my perspective, and I know it's different for everyone, but, like, they are all decently attractive. Like, no one's low.
No.
On the attraction level. So, like, I remember I saw a memory come up on my Facebook that was, like, after I'd watched season 1, it was like, oh, I love this because it's my story. but my friend Nicole, like, was, you know, she commented on it or whatever, and she's like, I hate this show because, like, they're literally all attractive people, and so what point are you trying to prove?
Yeah.
Like,
and they wouldn't have proved any point that they tried to make, because
yeah,
it just ended up people walked away from the people they weren't attracted to.
Although I did think about that, though, and I was like, yeah, why don't they, and this is so shitty to say, but, like, why don't they get, like, ugly, unattractive people to try it? But then I think about, like, the turmoil that would cause for people that were rejected solely for their appearance.
Yeah.
Because at least in these, like, it's, like, Kyle is attractive, I think. I don't know. Yeah, Shayna made me mad.
Yeah, I did feel like she was kind of trying to interject a little bit into Shane and Natalie's relationship, and I mean,
oh my god, yeah, I forgot
that was
about
really uncomfortable
at the bonfire thing.
And kudos to Shane for, like, kind of shutting it down. He really should have just walked away.
Yeah,
but I'm sure the producers were like, no, you have to
entertain this moment.
Yeah,
that was oof. Like, I'm kind of losing track of seeing this as a therapist, but that's okay. I get why she did it, right? Like, that was her shooting her shot. But, and so this is, I guess, like, a difference in the things that I prioritize versus others, because, like, one of my biggest values ever is transparency. Like, I always go into things being as clear and honest as I can. I don't try and hide anything, and, like, she had different intentions going into that conversation, right? She wasn't just trying to shit talk Natalie and Shane together. What she wanted to communicate was that she was interested in Shane and that she wanted to see if there was a chance that she had with him. But, like, going about it in this wraparound, like, your relationship is so fake. It's like, why?
Yeah, and, like, accusing Natalie of bringing her into the relationship because it's boring. Like, when she obviously said something kind of hurtful to Natalie about their relationship. And of course Natalie's going to... Yeah, she said, if this doesn't work out, I have someone for you. Of course Natalie's going to communicate that to their partner. Like, anyone would.
Yeah. I know, and she's like, oh, she's so insecure, like, she's so bored or whatever, clearly, to bring me in. It's like, what?
And she sits there and she's like, I didn't say that. Well, I did say it, but, like, no, you did say it.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to her for, I guess, being in on the joke. Like, she's reposting these memes.
Yeah, like, she seems to be a good sport about it. And I did, you know, like, in the reunion when she did seem quite sincere. And, like, you know, again, it's so hard to judge. This is, I guess, where, like, my kind of compassionate, understanding side would come in, because it's so hard to judge what it would be like in that situation, because yeah, you're going into this experiment, and I imagine that everyone's in it to try to find some serious connection. And so for her, you know, even going back to the pods, like hearing that Shane would have proposed to Natalie, and then Kyle proposes to her, and she's like, well, like, the only way that I have a shot at anything here is to say yes. And yeah, it's shitty to say yes and then, you know, when you don't actually want to. But, like, how can anyone know in a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is? Like, they're all kind of banking on, or they're gambling on that. And then, you know, I get why she toyed around with it, because you don't want to make it just, like, you don't want to say no to something if you're not sure that it's not actually right for you. Like, it's all just messy and complicated. And but as a viewer, I didn't like her at all. Yeah, Shayna. Okay, Nick.
I'm excited for the breakdown on Nick.
So, okay, so my friend Heather, who's, like, also a therapist, and we chit-chat about this all the time, like, she watched it very late. I think she just finished it, like, yesterday, which wasn't very late, but, like, Nick is very much that avoidant type. So he's kind of very low on, like, the emotional expressiveness, on, like, the reassurance, the touch, the proximity, all that. And he seems to very much value, like, okay, let's fix this, let's sort through it, let's have our own lives. And again, that's that anxious avoidant trap where Danielle, who we'll talk about in a second, like, my God, you are the anxious, insecure type. So it was hard to watch some moments with them. Like, when Nick had said to her, like, you know, like, the world doesn't revolve around you or whatever. Like, that was a moment where, as a viewer, I was like, oof. But there's also a ton of reasons for people to be in, like, hyper fix-it mode. And I think he even said that in the reunion. Because and I actually saw this was something that I really noticed when they did the family visits and they went to Nick's mom's. And Nick's mom was, like, super emotionally flat. Like, had very, very little emotional expression. And so, you know, from that very small tidbit, it kind of highlights that, like, their home probably wasn't emotionally expressive. Mm-hmm. So if you grow up learning that, you know, okay, everything is kind of muted, or we don't show those extremes, then yeah, when someone is in a really high distress state, your automatic go-to is going to be like, okay, no, we don't show that here. We don't show this really high anxiety. So, okay, what can we do to fix it? And that's what he was doing in every situation with her. He's like, okay, like, what do you need to hear right now? Or, like, you know, that's not how it was. You need to look at the evidence, blah, blah, blah. When obviously that doesn't help a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it's hard because I think this is the relationship where every time there was an altercation, we saw the aftermath. We never saw it in the moment.
Yeah.
Which I think is, like, I think that's kind of a theme in Love is Blind, because obviously the kid, like, they do go back to, like, regular lives. Like, they're working and still being filmed, so it's tricky. But during some of those conversations, like, I just didn't see a lot of empathy from him, I guess. But I guess that would make sense if he kind of grew up in a household that wasn't...
That's the thing, right? So, like, I was talking with, I think, a client about this the other day. When you have, like, that stunted emotional expression, when you yourself experience, like, emotional highs or lows, you're going to go in one of two ways. You're going to fully shut down and, like, completely disconnect from the moment. So this can be, like, full-blown dissociation where you've zoned out completely, like, you're not even in the present anymore, or, like, you'll forcibly shut down by distracting yourself or whatever. So, you know, if, like, I grew up in a very low emotional tolerance household. You know, my family's all English, and, like, we don't talk about emotions. So, you know, like, I learned really young to you know, to like distract myself with TV. So that's why like when I feel emotionally flooded, I go to TV right away and watch Love is Blind naturally. But so yeah, you'll go that extreme of shutting down, or you'll Brene Brown has this term where she calls it chandeliering. So she's like, you touch on this emotional surface and you're like, you jump all the way to the chandelier. So he came out in these moments like having some really significant anger, which I love anger. It's great to like genuinely. I think it's like it needs to be expressed much more. But that's that other end of it where, okay, yeah, you're muted, you're calm, you're chill all the time until you're not. And then it's like, I'm pissed and I'm going to be pissed at you. And, you know, even if you're not deserving of it, because it's just like, I need to give this energy out. And yeah, that came through consistently from him, where like he was angry. As soon as she said anything, he was pissed.
Yeah, and I wonder if that is because, like he said, like he's a huge fixer, like he wanted to fix it, and like some things are just things that someone is feeling and no one can fix it, and no one can help it. They just, and I think he did address this, like she didn't need him to fix it, she needed his support. Yeah. And instead of giving that support, he was so angry, maybe because he couldn't fix it. I don't know. Yeah. But I just those situations, like you feel bad for all parties because like you just they're like unable to give each other what they need in that moment, and like that's hard.
Yeah, and I think unable to see it, especially in the beginning, right? So they did talk about that in the reunion, and I'm hopeful that, you know, they've had those conversations and are able to give each other what each other want. But yeah, like when you're smashing these two people together that have completely different ideas of what's helpful in moments like that, it's very amplifying. So we'll talk about Danielle. I liked Danielle.
I really loved Danielle.
I didn't up until she went into her closet and grabbed that hot dog costume. And I was like, look at this. Look at this. I like you. Like that just, I don't know, it made me so happy to see that. Because up until then, like, I guess it is... Yeah, it like all the filming had really just shown her in her worst moments. Not worse, that's unfair to say, but like in her anxious moments.
Vulnerable states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Epitome of anxious attachment. Like, yeah, just to a T. And she knows that, and like she very clearly said that, right?
She said that right in the pods.
Yeah. The challenge though is that like it's so difficult. So, like, I am very much unlike an anxious, attached person. And it's tough because it constantly, you know, kind of creates this need to seek that reassurance from your partner. But, like, there's so much ownership that needs to happen from it. Like, so the way to kind of heal attachment and move us towards a more secure place is to, you know, seek that reassurance and get it met with a secure person, but it also requires a lot of like increased comfort with ourselves. And I guess where I got stuck on is that like it didn't seem like she had the resources or the capability to ever support herself in those moments.
And that could be just like aside, like conversations that weren't shown, like they never really talked about therapy. Like, I mean, as for someone who's like really aware with it, like you can't assume, but like I would assume that maybe she had gone to therapy in the past. That's how she knew. It's like she was so self-aware.
Yeah, and they're not gonna show like a moment where she's self-soothing by like you know, like doing a relaxation practice with herself. So yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, it was a difficult dynamic to see. And like, and I would worry about them now just because like they were such polar ends that like, yeah, for sure you can compromise, you can talk and have those conversations to try and meet each other in the middle, but like each of their middles is still nowhere close to the middle, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like they're still way over here instead of being actually in the center.
And I think they did mention in the reunion that they are doing couples counseling.
Yeah, they did.
So, like,
I don't know much about things, but like for people who are on like you said, like very opposite ends, like does that work? Like how do you work through that?
So it can, but it is really challenging. So like the book Attached, I've referenced in like 600 videos now at this point, but it actually goes through like, you know, if you are in an anxious avoidant relationship, how do you bridge that gap? And it does require both of them to adjust, but I think more so the avoidant person really has to give in.
And that would be
that would be Nick.
Okay.
So Nick is like the one that's like, okay, fix it, like low emotional expression, whatever. He would really need to feed into that reassurance, that complete non-judgment, that, you know, frequent touch, proximity, whatever. And then she would also, the difficulty is that like, so she should also have to meet in the middle as the anxious one. And so, you know, give more opportunities for him to take space, for him to be independent, for him to go on his own and, you know, talk with other women and whatever, to test that, like, that jealousy and insecurity. But the impacts of her reaching versus the impact of him reaching as an avoidant person are really different, because her stretching herself is going to create a ton of distress because it activates her attachment system, whereas him stretching by being more reassuring or whatever, he's probably not going to like it, and he's going to be like, why can't she, you know, just do this on her own or whatever? But it's not going to create the same level that it would for her. Like, it's not going to have that same, like, fear effect on his body.
Yeah, I think as someone, and, like, people that, like are anxious, I think, to me, I don't know, I always thought it was kind of selfish to feel like that way, but I'm in those moments, like, I'm in distress, like, I need your support.
Yeah.
And, like, to me, it's like, and probably to Danielle and a million other people, you know, it's like, I'm in this state, and, like, you're distressed, like, you need, and then, like, you look at your partner sometimes, not my current partner, we won't talk about him.
Beautiful, I look at you.
Beautiful
sometimes.
Man.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, you look at this person, and you're, like, you're distressed, and you want the support, and you're like, this is distressing for me, but it's inconvenient for you, and it's frustrating. But obviously that's my side of it, because I'm usually the anxious person in that situation.
No, that's me too, for sure. And you know, in my experience, like, every single anxiously attached client that I've ever had, like, there's that belief that you're a burden or an inconvenience, because you are seeking this, like, reassurance or support or whatever often, and more often than our partners are. And it sucks. But, like, what's difficult is that often that idea that you're a burden or an inconvenience intensifies it.
Yeah.
So, like, that's, you know, in a broader scheme of, like, therapy, that's something, you know, referred to as, like, the struggle switch in, like, a certain branch of therapy, where we fight so hard against our inherent needs that we create these extra layers of distress and shittiness and shame and whatever on ourselves. Whereas if, you know, like, why I advocate for that book Attached so much is because it really goes through a lot of just, like, needs are needs. Like, they're not bad or good. You're not needy or not needy. It's just, like, you have needs. And as an anxiously attached person, I have needs for, you know, frequent contact, for, you know, not all the time, but, like, a decent amount of physical touch or physical affection, you know, certain, like, words or whatever. I might, you know, ask and be, like, cautious or worried about things and ask, like, hey, are we okay? How are you feeling? Whatever. And those are just my needs. And it's not a bad thing to have them. I just need to be with someone, and I'm grateful that I am. I don't know why I'm I don't know why I'm knocking. Is that, if that's,
knock on wood, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, I'm with him already.
So you're like, knock on wood,
don't break up with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But don't know what I was saying. I don't know. Needs.
They're okay.
Okay. Oh my god, we're 45 minutes in. Okay. We gotta get going. Let's go through Sal and Mel quick. Salvador, love him.
I have no complaints.
Love him. Yeah, like, good guy. He's like, he is, so, like, when I talk a lot about, like, values-based living, he is doing it. Mm-hmm. Like, he's the shining beacon of, that.
Yeah.
Mallory.
I love Mal.
I liked Mallory a lot, too.
I thought she was...
I thought that they actually had a solid, you know, even though, like, it didn't work out or whatever, it seemed like when stuff came up, they addressed it.
Yeah.
Aside from maybe I don't know why I'm burping so much. Aside from, like, a few, I don't know, maybe, like, one that we saw, it seemed like they were, like, relatively respectful towards each other, and, like, weren't really hiding things or holding stuff back. Like, they seemed quite honest in it. Yeah, I don't know. I could see at the end, though, like, what really stood out to me about her was that when he did say no at the altar, and then she went back after, and they were, like, sitting outside, and she was still in her dress, she was, like, just full defense mode. And not defense in, like, the aggressive type where, like, she was getting mad at him or whatever, but she was just like, oh, yeah, you're like, no worries. Like, yeah, sure, we can try whatever. Like, very much not letting herself admit how hurt she was.
And you could tell while she was getting ready, like, she wanted...
Yeah, she wanted it. Yeah.
I was really shocked by that one, but at the same time, like, when you kind of step back from it, you kind of understand, I guess. For them, I feel like we didn't see a lot.
Yeah.
We saw, like, two issues kind of come up, one with Mallory and Jarrett, the other one with Sal and some, like, that girl that, like, went to his sister's house. We didn't really get any details on that, but I do feel like both of them were, like, addressed, and I think Mal did take, like, space to think about.
Yeah.
But then they did come back and they talked about it.
Yeah, like, they seemed to handle them well, you know, and I think, like, that's probably why there wasn't a ton of airtime on them, because, like...
Yeah.
They were doing good.
I still don't really, I guess, understand why it didn't work out, but I guess some things just don't.
I think he had said when he said no, which, like, I really appreciated. He's like, I can't say yes yet. Like, he kind of alluded to it's just too short of a time. And, like, I know that I think I read that, like, yeah, they tried to go on a date and then it didn't pan out, but...
Yeah, I think that's what I was, like, I kind of expected them to still... I guess the reunion to come and them still be dating.
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of expecting, so.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, I respect that a lot, and I think that's why I look at Sal as, like, that values-based living person, because he's like, I'm not just gonna say yes because we're on a TV show and that's what's expected, even if he may have wanted to, because it seemed like he wanted the relationship with her, but he's like, I'm not gonna literally commit myself to marriage just because there's all these expectations. He's like, it doesn't feel right to me, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, I think the romantic in me really wanted them to work, and I was really heartbroken, but looking back, like, I think they just had a pretty healthy relationship, and it ended in a healthy way, and I mean, that happens, so.
Yeah, like, and we still learn from those, like, those are, you know, maybe not, like, just as good as the ones that last, but, yeah, worthwhile. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. I forgot. I was like, who else do we have? Okay, so Jarrett. I don't know. Because I struggled to ever, like, be on board with their relationship.
Because of the way it started. Yeah.
What I didn't like, just because it just seems so defensive for his tact of being like, tactic. Tactic. Okay. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Tactic. Okay. You speak now. I don't remember what I was saying.
It sucks to see someone kind of seem like second choice, and, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, now, like, I think him and Ariana have a really great relationship, and they're really in love, and I think he was really in love with her. But it sucks to see, like, that he had put his whole heart into Mallory. That was his decision. the decision ended up being made for him. So he went to Ayana, and like it's hard even after seeing their relationship play out, and you know, like I think they do have a really great relationship, and I can see that they love each other, but like it's hard for me to move past that. So I don't know how she did it.
Yeah, and like what I was gonna say before is like the defensiveness of him being like, if I asked you, what would you say? And I don't know why that sits like so unwell for me, because I get it. Like, you don't want to. It just seemed very much like he was trying to prevent rejection at any cost.
I actually forgot that he didn't propose to Mal for some reason.
Yeah,
My memory was that he proposed, she said no, but he basically did, just not
exactly.
Officially, and like you said, it was to avoid that rejection.
Which yeah, like, and I get why, for sure. Like, rejection is a super hard thing to experience, and you know, but you're still experiencing it is the thing. Like, you're, you know, whether you ask the question of like, what would you say if I proposed, or proposing, it's still the, I don't know. And
he was still hurt. Like, he did still have a reaction, and like he was obviously hurt.
Yeah. And I think so, like, so we'll go to Ayana now. So what I don't like, and this like goes back to the point I made before about compromise, and how, yes, there's compromise in relationship, but like not to the point where you're changing who you are. So when they were like living at home, and she's like, I need you to change whatever, I get where she was coming at it from, and I would also want that in the same situation. I'd be like, why are you going out until like 5 on a Tuesday? Like, that's...
On a school night.
Yeah, on a school night. Wild. But basing a relationship on someone changing significantly, because that wasn't just like a one-off thing. I don't know, and also like you need to ask about changes. And it really needs to be self-motivated. Because as soon as it comes as like, okay, I'm doing this for that other person, it's either going to build resentment, or it's not going to last, or both. Mm-hmm. And like they talked about that in the reunion, and, you know, like in the post interviews or whatever, it was just like, yeah, there's been a lot of adjustments and whatever. And the way that they're talking about it, it just sounds, I don't know. And maybe it's just because I've heard so many client stories that sound very similar, where like it just sounds like they're both having to compromise a lot, to the point where they're not themselves anymore.
Mm-hmm. And he did say something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way when he said, you know, I can't act how I did before I was married, because I'm a married man, and I forget his exact wording.
Yeah.
But it was like, it almost made it sound like he not missed that lifestyle, but
yeah,
I don't know. And just like I'm kind of wanted a follow-up question. Like, what do you mean as a married man? Like, are you going out and partying until 5, or are you doing other things that married men can't do?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to know. But I don't know. Ayana just seems super chill with everything. And, like, I don't know if I could be as chill as her. And, like, I mean, asking someone to change a lifestyle like that, like, that's a big ask. And it's a big thing. I don't know if it's, the word where something can go on.
Tactic?
Yeah, I don't know if it's tacticable.
Sustainable?
I don't know if it's sustainable.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it is either. Like, I don't this is shitty for me to say. I would never say this as a therapist, but like, I don't. But this is something that I might think as a therapist. I don't see them lasting really for much longer, because it's too much pushed compromise and not like self-initiated or motivated change. I don't know. Oh my god, we've been talking for 53 minutes. Wild. Shake.
Ugh.
I love Shake, because I see, if I had him as a client, I would like, oh my, there's so much to pull. I would love it. I would love to call him on all of his defensive bullshit, because that's what it all is. Mm-hmm. I personally think, and this is like probably how I would view it if a client told me this. I don't know, maybe. But like when they had the wedding, it seemed for sure that he was gonna say yes. And then Deepti said no. And he was like, oh, thank God. Thank God. Because he immediately said, okay, it's a party. Let's have a party. No. You wouldn't do that. Like, that's not a genuine reaction. You're not actually like, yeah, cool, great, let's party. You're hurt, and you're trying to make sure that people don't see that you're hurt. And I think that's why he acted the way that he did in the reunion. Because he wanted to be remembered for someone not that was left at the altar, not that was rejected, but whatever else that he presented in the reunion.
He was almost acting like he rejected her in the reunion.
Yeah.
And I think what Deepti did was very respectful and like
it was
to herself and to Shake in the end. And I don't know, I guess it's hard for, I don't know, I think
it seemed so. If we go all the way back to like him in the pods and when he was like asking all those appearance-based questions, what I immediately thought about is like, does he struggle with his own appearance? And so as that protective mechanism, he almost like he kind of purposefully pushes people away by those very outlandish, like garish what?
Gauche?
No, like Garrish. I swear to God, I know words. Garish.
Yeah, it's fine.
I wanted to look it up. Whatever. He making all those comments, but I think that was a tactic.
A tactic.
Oh my God!
No, tactic is
a tactic. I know, but like, okay, I think that was his attempt to reject people before they reject him. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of setting this standard for himself. Like it sounded like he was painting this picture of like the perfect skinny, white blonde woman.
Yeah.
And yeah, it very much seemed like he was setting this super high extreme standard and being so forward about it because he knew that wouldn't be there. And so then he automatically gets the option to reject everyone else before he can be rejected.
And he definitely had self-esteem issues because in the pod he was talking to someone else and he said, I'm not winning any body contests over here. Like,
oh, I never even caught that.
Yeah, he did make some like kind of comments on himself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I think he's a bit of a tricky one. Obviously I will never understand where he's coming from, but he did kind of, I think he was talking to Deepti about this, and he said he moved to America as like a kid, and he was like shown all of these like Western beauty standards.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
That's what he thought was like the definition of beauty, and like that's what.
Yeah, and especially if you're like, I don't know if rebelling is quite the right word, but like if you're rebelling against your own culture, because like him and Deepti both said that like, yeah, they were kind of going in the opposite way as their own culture and like the way that their parents grew up and had relationships, then like, yeah, you're gonna choose that Western ideal because that's the complete opposite. That's being like, all right, I'm leaving this behind. Yeah, I would love to work with Shake, like genuinely love. Because there's so much defensive-ness. Like, they're just all protection mechanisms. And I would just cut through it. And I'd be like, you're fucking hurting.
And there was times where, like, I did genuinely, like, at the beginning, I was like, oh, Shake is, like, this awful guy. Like, he's, like, misogynistic. Like, he's...
No, it all seemed like a front.
And then, like, as it kind of went on and, like, he was, like, opening up, I think, like... I was like, okay, like, Shake's not that bad. He has issues. He's working through them. Like, it's, like, all... We could unpack it for forever. But, yeah, like, I definitely started to, like, open up to him. And then I think at the reunion, it all kind of went down the drain for me. And, like, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. And, like, it is defense and everything. But it's hard, like, when you see someone act like that in front of, like, their peers.
Oh, for sure. For sure, like, and it's not that it doesn't have those, like, lasting impacts, right? Because, yeah, he was speaking about people really disrespectfully, and again, like, in my experience, the people that do that most, the people that are, like, the assholes, the dicks, the whatever, are ones that are most afraid of being rejected. Mm-hmm. So they create that rejection immediately. And then they just hold this reputation of, like, yeah, I don't know, I'm just an asshole, like, that's it, that's just me, and if you don't like it, you know, tough, like, then leave, because they're preparing for people to leave. They've prepared for it to happen before it even gets close to it.
Yeah.
Which, I would love. I love working with that. Deep Tea is just lovely.
We love Deep Tea.
I want to be her friend.
She's like, super fun. And she's
very fun and very respectful, and
she's handled it all with grace. Like,
yeah.
Until Shake started making, like, an absolute dick out of himself, like, she wasn't blasting him.
Yeah.
Anything. Like, I think the only negative thing she said before the reunion came out was she went on a podcast and said, you know, Shake's making it seem like we're great friends still, and we're not. And that was the only thing she said.
Yeah.
And, like, I can't imagine, like, sitting across the room from someone, like, on TV and, like, being as composed as she was.
Yeah.
As she was saying all of this
I know.
shit
I was like watching her breathe, and I'm like, damn, girl, get it. Like, you are regulating yourself right now, because, yeah, he was having a good time. I would love to work with Shake. Shake! Come work with me. I would love it. I would love it so much. Well, anyways, wow. Wait, did it stop? It says an hour. It says 1 minute. Imagine. Well, this was the Love is Blind recap.
Mm-hmm. Love is blurry.
Love is blurry. Love is a tactic.
It's sustainable. And garnished.
No.
Is
okay.
that what she said?
Garish.
I believe you that that's a word. I just have never heard it in my life.
I'll look it up after. Okay. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
And let's see if this recorded. Okay. Bye.